I'm Omar Sabir. Every voice and every vote's count.
There you go.
What's up, you guys? It's your girl Lauren Sizzle, and you are now tuned in to one of the hottest talk shows in the nation. We Talk Weekly's After the Talk.
I'm Classy Lady Sparkle. You want to binge listen to our shows? Follow the We Talk Weekly's podcast on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Spreaker.
What up, folks? It's your boy Charles Gregory. Make sure to follow us on all our socials at We Talk Weekly.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Lily. So make sure you keep it locked to We Talk Weekly on 106.5 FM.
Yeah, We Talk Weekly's After the Talk on WPPMLP Philadelphia, 106.5 FM. We Talk Weekly's After the Talk with your boy Charles Gregory and a beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle.
And we're here today with a dynamic interview, a gentleman with whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for, man. We go way back too, like Boston Baked Beans and Mike and Ike's. And you're talking about someone who has truly worked and been in a position where it's not about talking about the community, but truly putting in that work, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, we're in this mayoral situation right now, right? It's a lot of people vetting and talking about why they should be the next mayor, right? But it's people who are really saying, like, what have you done to say that you want to be mayor or a political official? And in that context, this gentleman right here, when you want to talk about putting in the work to be the leadership in Philadelphia, this gentleman right here has done that job and done his due diligence. So without further ado, Classy Lady, who do we have today?
All right. Today, we have Omar Sabir. Omar is a city commissioner of the county of Philadelphia. His primary goal as a commissioner is to empower and enable all Philadelphians to participate in the voting process by addressing voter apathy and educating community about the importance of civil engagement. Under his leadership, Sabir has created many initiatives. Let's ask what those initiatives are and how he's going to make Philadelphia a better place. Let's give a warm We Talk Weekly welcome to Mr. Omar Sabir.
Yeah, my God. No doubt. How are you, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I appreciate you being here today. I know you have a busy schedule, and doing the things that you have been doing. I saw you today where you were supposed to be, mayoral panel. The candidates are vetting to be mayor. I think that's a good place to start. In a candidate, in someone who will be mayor of the city, what would you like to see?
Well, first of all, I like to see a mayor that comes out to my community.
Yeah.
Right? Not necessarily TV commercials, but I actually see them because there has to be a level of trust for the constituents to trust you. Because the constituents won't even talk to you.
That's real.
That's the boy, that's the girl from TV, but if they don't have that sort of trust where they can relate to you, they're not going to talk to you.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the main key, right?
Yeah.
If I see you in my neighborhood, I see you shopping at my supermarket, and you got the policies that I like, I will support that person.
Yeah, and you have been very pivotal in changing just the face of, the polling, how can I put it, the environment, right? And I appreciate you doing that because before you actually became the commissioner, there was a lot of people not even really getting paid for doing that job. Right. You made sure that the community were getting paid. Right. You made sure that people knew where their polling places were. Right. Not saying that a lot of people didn't do that, but just in formalizing some processes and policies to make sure that happened. What made you, or I'll put it this way, what did you see as a need before you came in, and what did you put in place to make sure that you address those needs and support the community?
Well, so when first politics shows me, right? Yeah. A lot of times people, I want to be this, I want to be this, I want to be that. As you know, the person that's kind of advocating, doing everything just to be seen, just to have that position, that person shouldn't get them. So, State Representative Louise Williams Bishop, State Senator Vincent Hughes, those are people that I work behind. I didn't mind being the driver. I didn't mind being the golfer. I didn't mind doing the behind-the-scenes things. Right. But it gets to a point where there's voids and someone has to fill them. And then little did I know that I was being groomed for a position. But I never wanted to be an elected official. I graduated from Cheney. I was fine being behind the scenes. But however, when there's a vacancy and there's a need, that's where the cream rises to the top. And sometimes we can't keep on passing the can down the road. Because it's like, we don't like this person, they don't like that one. There's nobody to pick from, so it's like, who's going to do it? And if not us, then who? And if not now, then when?
Yeah, for sure. What do you think is the biggest issue with getting some of the community out to vote?
Well, I think we have to first look at it we have to build up the trust that has been lost in the past.
Right.
So that means we have to hear what people's concerns are, and see how we can help them, and then let the community know that we're there for your help, and that we work for you. You're taxpaying citizens. You pay our salary, and so typically elected officials going to work how hard the community pushes them. But what happens with the community not really pushing them, right? I think that's the dynamic, and I think more so ever than just the elected officials, I think it has to be, once we elect them, how do we hold them accountable? Right? We work together with them, right? It might be people that have aspirations, that might have dreams. I want to be this, I want to be that. But what happens when you lose the election?
Right.
Most of the time, you don't see them no more. One thing is, okay, cool. If the neighborhood said they wanted this person, let's see what we can do to make our community better. And that has to be the focal point and the forefront about why we're trying to get it done.
Yeah, interesting.
My question is that I know you said it's listening to the people, but the elected officials or even the running mates, they are the citizens. They are the communities. You guys shop at the same stores we do, live on the same residential townhouses that we do, row houses. What do y'all see? Y'all see the trash. Y'all see the homelessness. You see the taxes. You guys see it. What is it that you want to say, like, let's change this of our city?
Well, so I think the first thing is, I think it's a two-way street, right? When you first get elected, a lot of times you be hype, we got African American, but the thing is, a lot of the staff are union, civil service, so even the people not doing their job, you can't even just walk in and fire them because there's union regulations. So you got to kind of deal with the people that may have been there for years. So you got to look at it first from, it's going to take a while to get the changes that you want in government. And then, two, also, we need y'all support. Like, when we go there, we need people to come to our meeting saying, hey, we want this, we want that. And then it makes it easier for us to talk to our colleagues to get the sort of change. Because then I can say, hey, I've been telling you to do this all along. Yeah. And now we got community members to come here and, fuss and fight, with it as well. Yeah. So, and then also, you got to really be careful who you vote for. You have to elect people that has a sincere love and concern about your community. Right. If they do not have it, just because somebody tell you to vote for them, you just can't just keep on pressing that button no more. We really can ask that critical question, like, who is this person? Why should this person have my vote? And why do you keep pushing this person? I know this person gave you a check, but what's more than that? And then after they get in, you just got to hold them. And I think sometimes we get too philosophical about it, But everything in politics is public. There's always public meetings. There's always public forums. And a lot of people don't show up to them. Yeah. And I understand it, but again, it's not like a blaming thing. I think we all just got to look forward to see exactly what it is that we need. Let's hone down 2 or 3 issues and see what we can get done one step at a time. And then after we get the win, we got to share it back with the community. Because sometimes the changes and things that happen, sometimes people just think it just happened by osmosis. Like, no, somebody actually really fought and sacrificed to get that. So we got to recognize that, and then we're going to tell everybody what the win is, and then we're going to move forward.
Yeah, because I'm going to talk about that a little bit, because you have a lot of people who are feeling that my vote don't count. There's a lot of people who came in that I voted for, and everyone is telling me to go vote, go vote, go vote. And then, literally my vote don't feel as if it's being counted. Right. Then we have someone else in there. Right. So why should I even vote? What would you tell the concerned, community, someone who's in the city that feels like, well, why should I vote? Because my vote don't count.
Well, the first thing I say that you got significance and you have power, right? It's a lot of psychological sort of meetings, a lot of disinformation to tell you that you don't count. And I believe a lot of it's racial. Right. And it's just added to the things. Okay, cool. And the thing I think sometimes people might have is sort of like a misguided sort of expectation about what voting is. Okay, if you vote tomorrow, okay, things ain't going to change directly, probably tangibly what you can see, but you have to look at it from you being a citizen and you participate in the process. And then you could even say, okay, look at the areas that do vote, and look at how these neighborhoods look, and look at the areas that don't vote, see what kind of services they get. When you vote, that's a button, and it gets resources for your community, because elected officials look at the vote totals. The areas that don't vote, sadly, a lot of elected officials, ballot participation affects policy decisions.
Right.
So we have to be cognizant and understanding that our vote has power. And a lot of people don't understand, too, is always vote, right? Even if you don't like none of the candidates, which is understandable, there's always a ballot question that asks you yes or no on a policy.
And that is it. Go ahead,
so
I'll let you finish.
If you hate, that's what I'm saying. If you don't like none of the candidates, I hate all of them. Go in there and press the ballot question, yes or no. So what that says is, if I live in 19131, okay, this many people voted. Now, it's not public who you voted for, but it just tells you, okay, that these people over here voted. So guess what? I want to be mayor. I want to be this. I want to be governor. Here's the people that have that sort of ballot. There's their behavior. This is what they do. They're voters. And there's a big difference sometimes. We look and say, okay, Philadelphia got 1 million people. Why would they make that decision?
Right.
But it's really 250,000 Philadelphians that vote consistently. So a lot of times the policymakers are making decisions that affect those 250,000 people as opposed to the 1 million people.
Yeah, see.
And then they ask them what they think. Okay, we're about to do this. They send you mail. They send you letters. They have community meetings. They mail it to them. Oh, these people vote, so we're going to keep on sending them information. Yeah. So they got a certain level of access, and they're more informed than your typical person. And again, this is not just our idea when we think, okay, this person's a voter, person got a PhD, and that. No, it's just regular people. Some people that got PhDs don't vote.
Yeah.
And that's fine, I understand it, but at the end of the day, when you start looking at the resource that you're getting, as local law enforcement officers, are they coming to an area when we call 911? Is the trash getting picked up?
That's right.
And we got to decide who gets the snow removal first. Where does it typically go?
Yeah.
It's going to go to the voters.
So where does people get this information on, say, for example, the ballot question? Because I'm going to be honest, as I believe, as informed as I am, oftentimes I'm still lost on a ballot question.
Right,
Where did this come from? And what does this actually mean? And I feel that there should be some conversation based around that, right?
Okay, so there's ballot questions that could come from the city or it could come from the state, right? And so a good website is committeeof70.org. Okay. They dig a little deeper. 70.org. That's the website where you can look at a lot of stuff. We'll list the ballot questions and we'll put a plain English there. But on our position, we really can't really explain it because it's like we kind of like the referee.
Yeah, for sure.
So if we explain it a certain way, that might force somebody to go yes or no.
Right.
But Committee of 70, they do a great job. The Philadelphia NAACP, the Urban League, a lot of these community groups, a lot of these forums, they have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And a council person, if it's a city ballot question, they'll typically introduce it. The city council will adopt it, and it'll go on the ballot. So,
there you go.
So you always could talk to your city council member. Hey, look, we got this. And that's sort of like, I remember 20, 30 years ago, we used to have tons of community meetings. We don't have them no more. And as a neighborhood, we can do that. And I think that's where we got to take sort of that responsibility to make ourselves be informed and let everyone know.
Yeah.
While you just said that, oh, go ahead, Sizzle.
Oh, I was just going to say that there was a recent poll done by the Limfest Institute for Journalism, and shout out to them because they are, they created this huge coalition of every voice, every vote, which we are a part of. But they did a recent poll, and based on the results of the poll, said that 65% of Philadelphians say that the city is on the wrong track. And now we're on the brink of, electing the next mayor and then these new city council members. What are your thoughts on that and how, because you did mention we've lost the trust of Philadelphians. Yeah. How do we get that back? What does this mayor need to do to get Philadelphia back on the right track and gain the trust of Philadelphians?
That's right.
Well, I think first we got to recognize what the mayor is, right? The mayor is a position. But there's also, this election is historic because we're going to have a new council president.
Yeah.
We have so many vacancies in city council because you got so many people that ran for mayor.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you had the city controller that resigned her post and ran. And then on top of the city controller leaving, we're going to have an unprecedented number of judicial candidates. And for the life of me, the judges, these races, people all never come out. Now that poll said 65% of Philadelphia said we're not on the right track. So maybe 30% is going to come out and vote. That's normally how I go, right? So that's basically 7 out of 10 people saying, I really, I don't care about this one, right? And then the presidential race, that comes up, and then it goes back the other way.
Right.
Like 70% of Philadelphia vote,
Right.
and 30% stay at home. But it's like the presidential race don't affect your quality of life.
Yes.
So it's always that sort of constant dynamic. But when we did research with the Congressional Black Caucus and a couple of nationwide organizations, and we asked them, why don't you vote on these elections? And the response was, y'all don't ask me. Y'all don't text me. Y'all don't send me the emails. And it's like it's billions of dollars being spent on a presidential race.
Yeah.
And then these smaller elections, there's no money being spent because they don't have it.
Yeah.
And so, again, it comes to the grassroots to really understand their power and do these things, right? We can have fish fries. We can have coffee clutches and invite the candidates that say they want to be mayor and say, come on here. You should invite every mayor. Hey, listen, you need to be on a radio show.
Yeah.
You want to be mayor inside the city.
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 times, they'll respond. I mean, a lot of them don't, so we're going to have the leadership that we deserve.
Yeah.
And it has to go back to the people. And that's what I want to always try to focus on. But again, anybody that's elected and you don't see them and you don't know them, hey, man, fire them.
I know that's right.
You got the opportunity.
I know
And
that's
even, with the judicial races, right?
Yeah.
You know how beautiful our Constitution is,
Yeah.
right? Every 10 years, you have the option to fire, common pleas court judges. So if they've been coming to court late, talking smack to people, giving people unfair sentences, they go up on retention.
Yeah.
And so you got the option to say yes or no. And for municipal court, it's every 6 years. So we have the right, but again, we just have to constantly have that passion and that desire to get back. Now, talking to a lot of younger voters, they say, look, man, I'm about the bag. I don't care.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, a lot of people are satisfied
Yeah.
with what's going on because silence is content.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times, I think there's a generational divide too,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes when we engage in people, some people make younger voters feel embarrassed and shamed, like, man, you ain't voting, what you doing?
Yep.
And then some people are afraid to even say that they don't vote or they're not registered to get those sort of
They feel
logistical
attacked.
things.
Yeah.
They feel attacked. So one of the things we definitely want to try to do is I'm trying to develop this mobile app. So we revamped our website.
Nice.
It has a mobile version to it.
What's your website?
So the website is PhiladelphiaVotes.com, all one word, PhiladelphiaVotes.com. It has all the information on there that you can get. And it's way better than what it was.
Yeah. It's definitely.
But we need this mobile app, and, it got approved. The money is there. But again, it's better technology with the city. I mean, it's rough.
Yeah.
And we lost a lot of staffers with the pandemic and stuff like that. So we're trying to get that done. But I think the mobile app would be a game changer because it'll have push notifications, encouraging people to vote, give you constant information. Then it would interface with social media. So the same things that I got.
Reach out to their
We were trying to get it done. But PhiladelphiaVotes.com, it's a lot better, though. But it's mobile friendly now, and you get a lot more information. But again, we need this mobile app that I'm working on. So hopefully we'll be able to get it done.
For sure.
Omar, you spoke about grassroots engagements like in different barbershops and recreation centers.
Yes.
Tell us more about the initiative with the Humanitarian Heroes.
Oh, sure. So the Humanitarian Heroes was basically a part of the Octavius Cotto Task Force, and that was basically a coalition of grassroots organizations, NAACP, Urban League, Committee of 70. When I took office, none of these organizations were working together. And I said, well, wait a minute. We talking about voting, but y'all having voting registration, and this was no coordination.
Yeah. Yep.
So I said, wait a minute. Let me use my bully pulpit to bring
You did
everybody
that. Yep. You
together.
did that. Yes, you did.
And it's been pretty much successful. And then we wanted to keep on touching the people. So the humanitarians part was look, we got to give the people something, and we're going to infuse voting into it. Like, I'm not going to have a rally tell you to come out and get registered to vote. Yeah. I'm going to give out some food. We're going to do a blood drive. If it's a problem in Mississippi, which we did, we came down, we dropped off 30,000 bottles of water. We're going to tell the community we care about them. And while we're doing that, that's when we're going to engage them with voter registration and voter education. So the humanitarian heroes part, I mean, that's a pet project, but it's going really well. I mean, so the next thing that we got really coming up is the blood drive.
Yeah, okay.
And so we definitely want to, and with that, so we had about 4 or 5 blood drives to attack sickle cell. I didn't know that sickle cell anemia was such a problem that disproportionately affected African Americans.
That's right. That's right.
And when the pandemic came, we lost people that didn't want to donate blood. And so one blood donation can save about 3 or 4 lives. Wow. So we done saved about 1,500 lives. Right. And that was just something that we could just make a choice. It's not like we need no approval. It's just certain stuff that we got inside our community that we can do to help our community. And it was people from all demographic levels, rich, poor, just say, yo, man, I had a sister that had sickle cell. I really appreciate what you're doing. And that's sort of like, and that's kind of some of the things that we got to do as well as leaders,
Fantastic. Because, you're saying all the right stuff, because I agree with pretty much everything that you're saying, 100%. For those who's watching and don't have a clue as to what your job responsibilities are, what your department do, why don't you walk people through that?
Okay, so the city commissioners are a 3-member bipartisan board of elected officials, and we oversee the election functions in Philadelphia County. So basically, what does that mean? Every presidential election, every local election, city council, judges, state reps, state senators, Congress. We oversee the elections, and every 6 months there's an election. There's a primary, there's an election, and then sometimes we got special elections that come up. But for the most part, there's 2 elections a year. We have about $32 million budget, 200 employees. We have about $30 million worth of equipment, 100,000 square feet, thousands of part-time and seasonal works. I mean, it's a job. I mean, I love it, and it just changed drastically after the presidential election. That moment when President Trump said, bad things happen in Philadelphia. And he brought us people out. I mean, my life was threatened.
What?
Oh yeah. We had death threats. I mean, it was rough. And then they actually sent some people up to the convention center. If it wasn't for the swift actions of Daniel Outlaw, the sheriff Rochelle Bilal, and the FBI to intercept the guys. So they came up from Virginia. They intercepted on the phone. They were saying they was going to come up to Philadelphia to straighten up the count. Wow. So then they came up with they was in a Hummer. They had like all these automatic weapons, and they came down there, but the FBI told them to be on the lookout. Right. And Daniel Outlaw and them caught them. Right. And one of the things what they have is a code word, which was very interesting, was that they code word is if they get pulled over, to tell the police that they're friends of law enforcement officers. And sometimes the police will let them go.
Really?
So that was like the keyword, buzzword, whatever that they said. Right. But thank God we got Daniel Outlaw, because her law enforcement officers went ahead and arrested him. Krasner arrested him. And then the crazy thing about it is they made bail. And then when they made bail, they went down to January 6th. As soon as they got out on bail. Jeez. So it's like, come on. Wow. But it's all right. We persevered. We didn't let it stop us. And we delivered the most secure election in the history of elections.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's, we did it in the pandemic. We did it in the civil unrest with the George Floyd stuff. So we delivered. We battle tested. We're excited about doing the work that we're doing. Yeah. And this work took me some Alabama, Jackson, Mississippi. I mean, it took me all over the country because Philadelphia decided who the president was. It all came down to Philadelphia.
Wow.
Yeah.
And as funny as it was, when President Trump said bad things happened, it ended up coming down to little us, Philadelphia. Wow. So if you don't think that we got no power, let me tell you something. You're going to make that conscious decision. And what African Americans need to know all across the country is that that's what depends on who's the president going to be. Yeah. How African Americans vote. That's why they wasn't just attacking Philadelphia with disinformation, death threats. There was people in Atlanta, Milwaukee, Arizona, all the areas where African Americans and Latinos were voting at, that's who they were attacking, because that decides who the president is going to be.
That brings me to one more question, Omar. So with voter suppression for states that make it challenging for black people to vote, like they are doing the new state card, or they're moving certain places where 90-year-old people have gone for 50 years and they're moving it and not letting them know. How do we get in front of that so it's not a challenge for our people to get out there?
Well, first of all, it's not happening in Philadelphia, right? It's not happening in Pennsylvania. It's happening like in those states down south. But one of the interesting things, like I was just down in Atlanta for the runoff election, Warnock, and voter turnout with all the stuff that they was doing in Georgia, they had historic voter turnout.
Yeah.
The people down there, if you ever been in Atlanta during election time, with Martin Luther King, it's a whole. Now Philly got a thing, but that was like, wow. It was like, man, I felt it like down there, and they got out there, and they was in historic numbers. So again,
why doesn't that get more press?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that
100%.
other cities where there's lower voter turnout for whatever reason, especially like in minority communities, why isn't that getting more press and more publicity? So it's an encouragement for other people to like, it's like, oh, okay, well, we see what they did in that city. They turned out in like droves and whatever, and they're, you see the results from that. Why isn't it that that's getting more recognition?
Well, when I was in Selma, Alabama, it was interesting. As you know, that's where Dr. King was marching at, and all. You had the crossing of the Edmund Pettus Bridge and Bloody Sunday. And what's interesting down there is their voter turnout is going down too. Now, Selma might be the blackest city in the country. I think it's like
Selma,
98%.
Alabama.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's like 98%. It's something like that.
Wow.
But their voter turnout was low, right?
Interesting.
And the thing is, it's not necessarily a voting problem. I think we're looking at it. We need hope. We need that sort of inspiration to think that whatever it is that we do, whether you're doing voting, opening up your business, anything, that there is a light at the end of this tunnel. And right now, we don't think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That's what I think. That's what I believe.
Right.
And I think right now there needs to be a campaign about love. And there's not no quick solution. We're going to vote. We're going to open up businesses. We're going to do all these different things to help our community be better. And I think maybe 40, 50 years ago, they had that sort of optimism, that sort of hope. Right now, we're kind of stuck. Yeah. But guess what? We can get unstuck. And it has to be a message of love and progress and moving forward. And don't tear nobody down.
I love that. I 100% agree with you. I think people are feeling beat down, though. I think the community is feeling beat up. I feel the community is feeling let down. All of the promises that they constantly make. You were at the mayoral forum today, and you heard everyone, for the black community, we're going to do this, and we're going to give you jobs, and, medical equity, and we're going to do this, and clean up, and, and that's what they hear every time someone is running. They hear all the good stuff, but as soon as they get in, you can't find them. Right, and I think the community is now.
In fairness, though.
Well, just
they're in the same place every Thursday.
Right.
You can't miss your council members. You know where they at.
Yeah.
You know where I'm at. You can Google search me. I'm right City Hall 132.
Yeah.
They already at. You know where we live at. You know where we personally live
No,
at.
but that's you. That's you.
No.
That's you.
But
All right.
Even
Right.
any elected official.
Right.
Like before we file.
Right.
We got to put our address down. Everything about us is public.
True. But when you talk about being,
you can just look it up. Really,
but when you
just
talk
off
about
Google.
being elected as an elected official, and people are seeing elected officials who made promises that don't seem to have kept those promises. That's how they feel.
That's where the power comes at.
Right.
It comes from the people, not the elected official.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So just like anybody else, when you look at like other races, look, you're gonna do what we tell you to do, or you're not gonna be there.
Right.
That's why when you talk about all of that disinformation and all those different, you got to say this, or you're not going to be representative of us. Okay. And I think that's the power that we do have. We don't know that we got the power. No, you have the power. You voted for them. Right. That's why they're in office. Right. You're going to do this, or we're not going to support you. Yeah. It's not you're not going to get a whole 30-year pass. You're not my man. No, I get all that, but you're messing up. You going to fix this, or you going to go? And that's the posture that we have to have.
100%.
And when the people have that posture and elected officials hear that, okay, whoa, these people ain't playing. Guess what? I got to go work.
Yeah.
That's it.
It sounds good.
It sounds good. I
but
know
it's not. Like I hear
But
what
it
you're
was like that at a point in time, though.
yeah. However,
It used to be.
however, listen to this scenario. We're vetting this person to get in. They're making these promises as, like you said, a boyfriend or girlfriend. Then they get in office. Then they're not accessible, like Charles said. But then it's like
Ghosting.
we are now hurt. We're let down.
Yeah.
So then when it comes to those same 60 people or 100 people that voted, now they feeling like, man, come on, my vote don't count. Y'all giving me promises, making this look like it is glitter and it's gold. And then when you get in there, it's not. So then those same voters are now, the distrust is there. They're not going out to the vote. And then that's how the systemic stuff starts. Because you were let down, because you don't feel motivated to vote, because you felt like your vote didn't count.
But then again, I think that's the wrong position.
Right.
That's the wrong posture. Right. It's not if I'm going to vote or not I'm going to vote. It's who I'm going to vote for.
Right.
I'm never going to stop voting. That's my right that's given to me as a United States citizen.
That's a higher tier people that think that.
No,
these
that's
lower
how
tier people that we are going through in Philadelphia.
But again, that's how we used to do it. I mean, like, for example, when Wilson Good no one was running, you had like 60% voter turnout since I was the mayor. Like, this not voting stuff, this is sort of like a new phenomenon. Like, it started in like 2013, and it's starting to go down.
Yeah.
And then you start to see the voter turnouts going down. That's when you start to see people saying, oh, okay, they don't vote. Okay, I'm going to take away from you. But when you increase your voter turnout, that's when you're going to have elected officials accountable for you.
100%. But see, I don't think that's the argument. Because I agree with that. The part that's the disconnect is the reason why the community and the people are feeling a certain type of way, and then that you see that demonstrated in their lack of voting. Right? You have a new generation that literally lost faith in. I mean, you have people pretty much saying, "I don't need to vote. I don't want to vote." That you have people that feel, attacked if they say that they don't want to, side with a particular party. Well, a vote for this person is like you're not voting or something like that, right? So if you, not you per se, but you in the leadership position are telling people to vote, they should have the right to vote for whomever they want to vote for.
This is true, but you do have to be strategic the way how you vote.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Because if you... There's science to it now. It's not just haphazardly everybody go do what they want. You really got to be organized.
Yeah.
And again, like I say, there's a reason why. Like, if you look at, like, the areas that do vote again,
Yeah.
we're never going to miss an election. Yeah. And that's across the board, white, black, anywhere. Yeah. Like, like the Northwest, like how the Northwest look versus other areas that don't do it. Yeah. Why do they do it? Yeah. Certain parts of West Philly that vote a certain way, you can look. Literally, I mean, if you drove through a car, right? Right. And I challenge anybody to do this experiment, right? You could even do it by block. Yeah. Go around the block and think, okay, did this block vote? Like, and you'll see it. If you're a homeowner, you're typically going to vote, right? Yeah. I mean, there's just certain things that if you have to look at it as me being a citizen, as my vote is being something so precious. And again, that's beyond, educational love and all that. It's just if you really have a sincere love for your community, you're going to vote because you're going to get resources for your community. Yeah. That's how it works. I mean, it's as simple as that's how America is. We're a democracy.
But it's almost like how churches, the ones who are there are not the ones who need to be there. And that's why we have to figure out how to get the ones to bring them in. If that makes sense.
And that's where the conversation begins. Because we talk weekly. We're here. We're a solutions-oriented based platform, right? We don't just talk about, you're wrong. It's about, okay, if you're wrong, how can we fix this, right? And so this disconnect and, the lack of or low voter turnout and people feeling even attacked going to the voting, their voting poll. I remember conversations based around, you talked about like those good old boys, so to speak. They couldn't even walk to the polls because they were standing out there, posturing and you better not, and thankfully we have people like you that's sitting there like, no, we're not playing that while I'm on watch, right? But to that point, you have a little bit of this, that's an issue, a little bit of that, that's an issue, and you keep putting those little bits and pieces of pebbles on a plate. After a while, that becomes a dish of issues of people saying, it's just too much, right? And so
we have allowed that. That's the thing. See,
who are the we? Who are the we?
I'm saying our community.
Right. Okay.
My father, God rest his soul, at 9:00 he would go in and vote Committee person. Hold on.
You,
Let's finish.
but see, I know your family though.
Right,
Your
gotcha.
mom is like the Martin Luther King of. I mean, she's out there on the block fighting. She's at those polls. A lot of families aren't like that.
But that's the whole thing. But
Kudos to your mom, by the way.
right.
That's-
But that's where it comes from accountability, right?
yeah, sure.
You know, at the end of the day, we talking about how do we get our numbers up,
Yeah.
right? No matter how many commercials, how many we do. End of the day, a grandmom, a matriarch, or a patriarch
Yeah.
has power and influence in that family. And number one reason why somebody would vote or wouldn't vote is not necessarily the charisma of it, but it's just the quantity of it.
Gotcha.
So if you ask somebody to vote at least 10 times per cycle, that's like 20 times per year. That's twice a month. We having conversations all year long about voting. It's about inviting elected officials to come out. You don't see them, guess what? We haven't seen you where you at.
Yeah.
And keeping the pressure on them. It's a pressure group. And trust me, I get emails from certain parts of the city where they be, where you at? What's going on? What's up?
Yeah.
You know, and that's where we have to get to. Okay, cool. We voted for you. What's up, bro? We haven't seen you. What's up, sis? We haven't seen you. Let's have a conversation. We're not being adversarial to you, and there's nothing wrong with doing that because you're the boss, right? So when I was in high school, I used to work at Sizzler. We had 3 managers, right?
Shout out to Sizzler.
Shout out to Sizzler. We had 3 managers.
Those
right?
steaks, boy.
So we had and it's close. I was like, yeah, I miss Sizzlers, right? But we had 3 managers. We had 1 general manager. He was kind of like in the middle. He was kind of mean, but you know he's really laying low. Then we had 1 real mean manager, and then we had 1 real nice one.
Right.
That was a nice balance. But I think we got to understand what kind of boss are we going to be.
Gotcha.
Are we going to be the sort of boss that getting on these elected officials' nerves and being the eyes and ears to them and really saying, hey man, we need this, we need that. Produce it, let's get it done. Man, we're gonna get it done.
Fantastic.
And again, it comes to love, man. Like that's the thing. Like forget the voting stuff. Just I really love my community.
Yeah, you do.
I'm a citizen. I have pride in what we're doing, and this is the reason why we need you to do it, and we're going to remind you to do it.
Yeah, they gotta turn out. They gotta turn up
you.
though. They gotta turn up though. Like it's what you're saying is what you're saying is great and it should happen. But I will even say live on the record that we reached out to a lot of people and certain people not even answering those calls and those
Put 'em on
emails.
blast.
Oh, we're about to start. We're gonna give them an opportunity though.
Hey man, you got to put them on blast. I invited you, man. You didn't show up.
Yeah, for sure.
Where you at?
I have
for
one last question. So a lot of these the kids who can vote, the millennials, when George Floyd happened, they was all out there. They were protesting.
out
They
to them,
was
yeah.
going crazy. How did we get them out there?
Oh, so they actually voted. I mean, that actually was like the largest like voting block that was coming out. Like,
But I'm not even talking about the voting. I'm talking about the purge.
just in
I'm
general?
talking about when they were going crazy in the streets and just like
purge?
it was like a purge. They was like they were vandalizing, like, but they came out. I'm saying they exist. And something drew them out there because they were angry. They were mad. They were in them streets, weren't they?
Yep. He's in
And
them
so
streets.
I'm asking the question of we pulled them out during that time because those young people are really the reason on why we had such an impact with the George Floyd. It was that generation that we're looking to connect with now. What did we do or what enraged them so much that they was like, we're tired of this? What is it that we have to do in that same vein to pull those same people out that made that difference in the voting world?
Well, what I think it needs to be a sincere investment in social media.
Yeah.
Again, you know, a lot of people don't
Get
look
that app up.
They don't look at social media as like a venue. I think we need to invest more in that.
Yeah.
One of the things we saw with President Trump and Hillary Clinton the first time they ran, Hillary Clinton outspent Trump like 3-1 on TV ads, but he outspent her like 3-1 on social media. You know, with Twitter and Facebook, he was the first really elected official that invested in social media.
Interesting.
And we sort of don't really pay attention to how strong social media is when they putting that stuff on your news feeds and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's one thing definitely we can do. And again, you know, just align it and just listen to what the younger people are saying. Yeah. Sometimes we talk over them. Again, it's a generation gap.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Sometimes when they come to the table, we push them away. It's like, no, wait a minute. Let's hear exactly what you say. And then we got to mix it up with the work ethic.
Yeah.
Because I'll be frank, you know, sometimes the attention be going so quick when it comes to discipline and doing hard work. And so again, it all really comes back really to love. To be honest with you. I mean, anything that we're doing, whether it's voting, businesses in the day, it has to be a sort of black love campaign. And we saw that in the 70s. And even when I went down to Selma, like they was really telling you, it was empowerment messages. It wasn't voting for this candidate, that candidate, why they had like 90. It was really just do something for yourself. It was self-empowerment. You got to love yourself. Time to make decisions for your community. We have to start putting those messages out because what's happening is, and I got 7 children, and the content that's coming on television now is just horrible.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they don't, and that regular basic level, they don't even have it. It's like no Cosby shows, no Different World, no Living in Color. There's no good stuff for these kids to watch. Even the cartoons. I'm like, yo, we used to watch G.I. Joe. And that's affecting their psychological brain, man.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man. And so we have to really look at it from all of that. We have to make a campaign to get rid of this drill music.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We got to stand up for it. And that's what I'm saying. And we listen to drill music with our children. Yeah. But we got to step up. When C. Dolores Tucker was coming out when I was young, I used to be like, why is she coming at rappers like that?
Yeah.
But now, is where I'm at now, we have to, and it might not be a cool stance, but we have to. Oh man, it's the same what it is. We got to.
You're hitting on some really good topics. I mean, some really good points, especially when it comes to our young people here in Philadelphia. And unfortunately, although the homicides are down, we just had the 17th, hopefully it's still the 17th, I hate to say, but the 17th Philadelphia student was killed. Yeah. And at least 78 students shot just this school year.
Wow.
And it's difficult to take that in, especially when you're hearing like how many times they've been shot. This last kid that we lost, 15 years old, shot 10 times. It's like, oh my gosh, it's heart-wrenching. And you mentioned the city controller's office. We need, they've been doing a phenomenal job also with covering the gun violence over the last few years. But these kids, they're getting into different things on social media, and that beef is just heading to the streets, and the first thing is a gun.
But listen, but tell me why on social media you can hold up guns, you can do all this kind of stuff, but then you might say one word and they'll lock up your account. There's certain buzzwords that you might say, but they'll lock your account up and kick you off. But yet and still you can say the N-word. You go, these are things that we got to step up for, right? You know what I mean? At some point. And that's when we got to talk about the soul, really, of our country and our community, man. And, like, I'm religious. I'm not like, I'm not an imam or nothing. But at the end of the day, at the highest point right now in our country where atheism has grown, where people just don't even believe about God. Yeah. It's just like, oh, wait a minute. Like, that's just the wrong thing to do. We just can't, you can't just because you have an argument with somebody, end their life. Like, and so we have to, we have to take a strong stance. Like the Ja Morant, the basketball boy. Right. I like Ja, but
he was wrong.
We should have stepped up and sat. I'll say it. He should have sat his ass down for the rest of the season. And you need to think about what you did. Because there was a whole big thing about Kyrie Irving, and I get it. Yeah. But man, we cannot accept hatred towards African Americans and killing this culture for us. And he just gets a slap on the wrist. No,
100%.
Sit down for the whole year, for the rest of the season, man. Think about what you did, man. Yeah. Seriously, because now, and the thing about it is, you go to private school, like that's the problem. It's like you're a joke, man. Yeah. And this is what you think this is. Yeah. But nobody said nothing about it. I'm talking about African American, not the NAACP. It was like, give this guy a chance. And it's like, and I know our emotion, we feel like that, but that's where we have to make the stance about right, man.
Fantastic. Man, this time went real fast. Jeez, we gotta have you
come back.
I'll
be back.
All right, then we gotta have you back.
Listen, we got 2 elections, right? Yeah, May 16th coming up, but we also got November. Again, this election every 6 months, so we can talk about civics. We need to talk about it more. Slide it in. Like I say, all year long. We need to do events out in the community.
There you go.
Slide it all in.
What happened to civics in school?
We got it back. We got civics back. It's back. It's in the schools.
Oh, good.
It's in the schools.
Yeah.
We got it there,
Some of
but
it.
now we got to get it popping.
Yeah.
But it's there though.
Yeah,
We got it back in.
I know. Shout out to Youth Voices. We did youth civic engagement in Temple, especially Temple University. Shout out to them and going into the schools and Gratz and Overbrook, and shout out to like all the high schools. They're trying. I don't.
No, we
yeah,
listen. No, we
yeah,
got
for
it back. I
Elementary.
mean, we did the Philly Rises program,
Yeah.
so we got Act 25 passed. So there's a paid person from the school district that would register any student if they want to become poll workers. So it's a paid staffer. So we interacted with about 3,000 kids last year. Our goal is to do about 5,000 this year. But no, we there. They got everything now. It's just us just pushing it, push the agendas. Whatever is right, we're going to stand 1,000% behind it.
Yeah, for sure.
If it ain't right, we can stand up and say, you know what, off that principle, you ain't getting no airplay, man.
Yeah, I think y'all need to look in that little budget and see how y'all can allocate some of that to, some of the creators like We Talk Weekly to go out there and amplify those messages, because this is what we're doing all the time.
And it's digital.
And it's digital, exactly.
With it looking
And we're
incredible.
all over social media. But in any event, real quick, because time flies. When we talk about, because I want to bring it back to people who's actually watching and people who potentially want to maybe become a poll worker and be paid, because those are paid jobs, and you made sure that they were getting paid and a decent pay.
Oh, yeah.
So kudos to you on that.
$300.
Yeah.
You make up to
And so-
$300 this election. If you want to become a poll worker for the Philadelphia vote. And we're not done. I want to get up to $500.
Nice.
Because it's a hard job. I think it is, and I think it's an important job. So the pay is $300. So you go to PhiladelphiaVotes.com. You click on you want to be a poll worker, become a poll worker, and you're able to sign up. Now, it's not a guarantee because we got to see, because you have to be at the polling location at 6:30. So we're not going to send somebody from South Philly all the way up to the far northeast. We try to figure it out. But it's a good thing. And if you want to get registered to vote, check your voter registration status, apply for anything, get all the information. It's really all in one click. PhiladelphiaVotes.com. Just around, play on our website, get you all the information. And if you want to call our office, call us at 215-686-3462, 215-686-3462 for the upcoming May 16th election. And another thing too, some people think they're Democrats, but they're not. Or they might think they're Republicans, but they're not. Because some people get upset and they might change their registration. They don't really know. So you have up to May the 1st to change your registration. Because Pennsylvania is a closed primary. So that means if you're independent or you're Republican, you can't vote for a Democrat. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I get a lot of calls every election. It's like, but you're not a registered Democrat, so you can't vote for the mayoral candidate. So, so you got to be registered of that party to vote for any of those candidates.
So I want you to, because I want to back up, because you probably, went a little quick on that, because I know it's a lot of people. So just slow down and kind of explain that whole process again real quick.
Sure. So Pennsylvania is a closed primary. So that means you have to be registered to that party to vote for them. So we have 12 mayoral candidates. And so the Democrat is more than likely going to win based off of recent data, the registration advantage. So if you want to vote typically for whoever's going to be the mayor, you have to make sure that you're a registered Democrat in order to vote for them. So whoever wins that primary is typically going to win. So you have to change your registration. If you're independent, if you're a Republican, or you change your registration, you have to change it to vote in the primary. Because if you walk into the election booth and you see nothing but ballot questions, it's because you're a registered independent and you didn't change over your registration. And so I get these calls like it's a conspiracy. I'm like, nah, it's a state law that we got where it's closed primary. So you got time to change over your registration to Democrat, or if you want to vote for Republican, as one Republican candidate, David O., you can change to be a Republican, and you can vote for whoever you want in November. But the typical election, more than likely, will be decided in May. So it's very important that you check your status. And again, you can go to PhiladelphiaVotes.com and you can ask any question. Any question that you got, call us up, because I don't even want you to, sometimes ask certain people and they might try to shame you. Don't worry about it. Call us up with the commissioner's office and we can help you out whatever you want to do. And you also can vote at home too. I vote by mail. And it's been very easy, for me. So if you want to go to LA, you want to go on your trips, you want to do whatever, like, yo, you can vote. Like, it's so easy. Even if you travel somewhere, we can mail you out the ballot. Like, I know somebody, they ballot out in LA. They put the address down, sent it out to them, they mailed it back. So 30% of Philadelphia vote like that now. So I vote like that. My wife, she votes in person. She like, nah, you're the commissioner, but
I need to go there.
I need to press that button. I'm like,
that's
fair
right.
enough. So
for sure.
so at 3:30 every election day, my wife or family, we go do it. It's a big thing.
That's what's up.
But I vote by mail. So again, Philadelphia votes. I'm gonna keep saying it over and over
There
again.
you go.
Go to our website, get any information, but then call us up. And then we also looking for interns, people that want to be a part of the process, and we hiring. So always just reach out to us. Just whatever we could do to be of assistance to you, let us know. Any block parties, any family reunions, any birthday parties, anything that you think that we should be at, we'll have the table out. We'll provide the information. We'll bring the voting machines out. We'll do whatever it is that we want to do to increase voter turnout in the city of Philadelphia.
Fantastic. I want you to do me a favor because I want you to say this for me. I'm Omar Sabir, and every voice, every vote counts.
Okay. I'm Omar Sabir. Every voice, every vote's count.
There you go.
I got it right in the first take.
Got it right on the first take.
All right.
And so, because we're part of the initiative, and we think what they're doing is very, it's very important, and that's what got us doing what we're doing right now in terms of making sure all the mayoral candidates come on and talk to the people. We don't want you to hide from the people. We want you to be held accountable. And if you're saying that you're going to do stuff, especially if you come on a show, then we have you on record to say that you said that you was going to help the community. But this is not what you're doing, right? And so that's why we've been, campaigning on the people's voice. Every voice counts, not just the people that's unfortunately putting money in your pocket. It's people who don't have those funds to put money in your pocket, but guess what they're doing? They're getting signatures for you, and that's just as good as getting money, right? And so we want every voice to count. We want every vote to count, and we want you to get out there. We want you to vote. We want you to get informed, and we want to continue to support the community. My brother, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming to the show.
Anytime, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, you gave some great information, and people is going to love this. I can't wait to send this out so people can, more people can get a hold of this. And one more time, what's the website so they can go and find more information?
Sure. PhiladelphiaVotes.com, PhiladelphiaVotes.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram, Omar, OMAR, 4FOR, Philly, Omar, FOR, Philly, Omar for Philly. Follow me.
No doubt.
What's going on, you guys? This is Bridget Kelly, and you are locked into We Talk Weekly.